Okay, hi! I'm Cherry and you've stumbled upon my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about my December 2020 and January 2021 wrap-up. I initially wasn't going to talk about the books I read in December because I only managed to read 2 before I was consumed by Stardew Valley, but those 2 books were great, so I decided to just add them here. Anyway, lots to talk about, so let's get started! To kick off December, I read Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bell Fleur. Written in the Stars is a sapphic, own voices rom-com that is also sort of retelling of Pride and Prejudice. It mixes 3 very popular tropes: opposites attract, enemies to lovers, and fake dating. We follow Elle, a free-spirited Twitter astrologer, and Darcy, a no-nonsense, uptight, where does she works in insurance, I think. Basically, Darcy's brother, who is also Elle's new business partner, sets them up on a blind date that went disastrous. But Darcy lies to her brother that the date went fantastic and begs Elle to go along. So the whole ordeal is beneficial to the both of them because it gets Darcy's brother off her back, and Elle has someone to take to a holiday family gathering. The deal expires exactly on New Year's Eve, but the last thing they expect is to develop real feelings from a fake relationship. I personally am not a fan of any of those tropes, especially fake dating and enemies to lovers, but I know I am a part of a very small minority. But I really enjoyed the book. I gave it 5 stars. I feel like this perfect rating was because I had a lot of fun reading it. It was super adorable, and I really love the idea of a Twitter astrologer as a main character, especially with the rising trend of Twitter astrology. Also, can I just say, the sex scenes were pretty fucking steamy. Like, I did not expect them to be as steamy as they were, considering it was such a cute book. But it is what it is. Am I complaining? Definitely not. Although I do know some people who knock the book a star down just because they aren't fans of like really graphic smut scenes. So I just thought I'd put it out there just in case. The next and last book I read in December and in 2020 was One Day in December by Josie Silver. Laurie's pretty sure love at first sight doesn't exist. That is, until a chance encounter at a bus stop. She sees a man who she instantly knows is the one. Their eyes meet, and the bus drives away. Laurie spends like an entire year looking for her mystery soulmate. Just as she's about to give up completely, she reunites with this man at a Christmas party, where her best friend introduces him as her new boyfriend. Dude. I could not tell you which direction this book was going. Everyone keeps describing it as heartwarming because it is a holiday read, but fuck. Let me tell you, the angst. This was so unexpectedly angsty, and I devoured every heart-wrenching moment the book had to offer. While there definitely was some aspects that were a little contrived and some that didn't make a lot of sense to me, I still inhaled this book. It was really good. It was honestly really good. There was this one scene in particular that involved slow dancing, and I, for fucking real, almost cried. I never cry in books, but I almost cried. My heart hurts so bad. Also, take note, because there were a lot of missed chances, their love story spanned a literal decade. This story took place in a span of 10 years. Another good thing about the book is that it was surprisingly fast-paced. Jack, the mystery man, shows up very early on in the book. Shit ensues like 10 pages in. I give it 4 stars. I was honestly surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Now let's get into the books I read in the new year. In January, the first book I read was The Falling in Love Montage by Shara Smith. I finally finished the book. With a mother suffering from early onset dementia and a father about to marry someone else, Saoirse, just doesn't have it in her to believe in romance and happy endings. Then she meets Ruby at a house party, and Ruby makes her want to break all the rules she set up for herself. To match Saoirse's no relationship rule, however, Ruby proposes a loophole, one summer filled with every rom-com montage-worthy date they can think of. No strings attached. But there's one thing they're forgetting about the falling in love montage, and that's, at the end, the characters fall in love for real. I started this book last year and was initially a 5-star prediction. I gave it 4 stars, so that's not too bad. This book's humor was on point. Like, some books can make you chuckle under your breath, but this book definitely pulled off the calm part of the rom-com so well. There were moments where I had to put the book down because I couldn't stop laughing. There were also a ton of very hard-hitting moments. I actually teared up during some parts, not gonna lie. The writing was amazing. It packs a punch when it needs to, but I'm also part of the minority here. Can I just say, Ruby was so fucking nosy. It's bad enough that she started out pretty manic dream girlish, but I guess that's part of the rom-com cliche they're trying to pull off, but Ruby loves to stick her nose where it's none of her fucking business. Like, just because you shared your sob story, it doesn't mean other people are obliged to do the same, you know? I know your time is limited together, but Saoirse wasn't ready to share that aspect of her life yet. Like, just cool it, you know? That is literally what irritated me in the book. Like, the whole time I was like, stop, it's none of your fucking business. Regardless, I could definitely understand the hype. I still give it 4 stars for its cuteness, creativity, and well-delivered humor. The next book I also started last year, and it's actually a reread, and it was The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. This one is a reread because I plan on actually continuing the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series this year. I read The Lightning Thief ages ago and was just prepping myself in case I missed out on any important details. Anyway, I'm sure you all know what this is about. It follows Percy's adventures after he finds out that he's a demigod, specifically a son of Poseidon. In this book, he makes it to Camp Half-Blood and is assigned a quest to retrieve Zeus' lightning bolt to prevent a war between the gods. He goes on this quest with Grover, his satyr? How do you pronounce that? He goes on a quest with Grover, his satyr best friend, and Annabeth, a daughter of Athena. I personally love Rick Riordan's writing. This was a super fun read and doesn't really read like a middle grade, in my opinion. It's just chock full of heart-pounding scenes. There wasn't a single boring moment. My sibling, who is actually not much younger than me and was a huge fan of the Percy Jackson books, thinks I'm probably too old for the series. And I'm just like, first of all, shut the fuck up. Second of all, how fucking dare you? I plan to get the Sea of Monsters this February for a readathon, and I'm honestly super excited. The next one is a novella called The Monster of Ellenhaven by Jennifer Gesprecht. This one is a horror kind of mystery that was recommended by a friend. I knew very little going into this since it's really short, and after reading it, I feel like that really was for the best. All you need to know going into this book is that it's a revenge story that involves murder and is pretty fucking gay. Honestly, that was also all I needed to know for me to pick it up. I really enjoyed reading this. It had an amazing concept, a strong start, and a really intriguing middle. You're just gonna want to keep reading, but then it ended. And the ending was very disappointing, so I'll just pretend that never happened. Still, I highly recommend this for anyone who wants a short but very creepy read. The last book I read in January, no, there's like a few more books after this, but like, I'm doing this in order, but yeah. The last book I read in January, and it's the first 5-star read of the year, is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Simply put, this book was fucking amazing. I was initially torn between a 4 and 5-star rating for this book, but it's definitely a solid 5. I don't even know why I hesitated. So it's 1926. and we mostly follow Evie as she navigates her new life in New York City after she was exiled from her small Ohio town. The only catch is that she has to live with her Uncle Will, who is a bachelor with a penchant for the occult. Evie has supernatural powers, and that got her sent away in the first place. Basically, she can read people by holding on to very personal objects. She can tell what they ate that morning, to even their deepest, darkest secrets. When her uncle is called to help solve a murder that involved cryptic occult symbols, Evie realizes her abilities might actually help catch a serial killer. All the while, something dark and evil has awakened. I love this book so much. Don't understand. This was so good. There are other super interesting characters, most of them also diviners who you will absolutely love and root for. They have their own backstories and motives. You'll get invested in everyone's stories and subplots. I honestly regret not finishing this last year because I honestly might have officially found my favorite book series. This first book, The Diviners, is already a lot creepier and more unsettling than most of the other horror books I've read so far, and I am eager to know what happens next on Lair of Dreams. I already have a copy. I'm so freaking excited. Now, for the results of the Rent Readathon, which happened in January. I read 3 books, 1 manga or graphic novel, 1 poetry collection, and 1 young adult novel. I read 3 of the books on my Rent Readathon TBR, which is honestly a miracle. So here are the books I read. The first book is the graphic novel. It was Tomie by Junji Ito. Tomie kicked off 2 prompts, which is to read something weird from Team Maureen and read a graphic novel from Team Mimi. This manga was a wild fucking ride. I wish I read it sooner. Basically, we follow Tomie, a beautiful young lady with a very distinct beauty mark under her eye. She has the uncanny ability to make almost any man fall head over heels in love with her. They grow obsessed with Tomie and always have this strong urge to chop her up in pieces, which, you know, they actually do. But Tomie isn't human. All those pieces they chopped up, they regenerate into a whole new Tomie. So by the end, there's probably like a million fucking Tomies in Japan. My memory card ran out of space, so if like the angle is different, it's because mistakes were made. Anyway, where was I talking about? Tomie. This manga specifically wasn't very unsettling compared to like other Junji Ito mangas. It was mostly just weird. I did very much enjoy it, but I had a lot of questions. Warning though, you might not want to read this while you're eating because it is a horror manga. So there are a lot of violent scenes. Some of them were kind of gross, but whatever. 4 out of 5 stars because it did feel a little repetitive at times and I didn't really like how it ended. But overall, I enjoyed that experience. Also, Tomie is definitely a lesbian. I'm gonna just put it out there. She's fucking gay. The next book I also started last year and didn't finish because I am a fucking train wreck. That was Mouthful of Forevers by Clementine von Radix. This poetry collection fulfills the Team Maureen prompt, read a poetry collection or a book about a performance artist. It's short. I don't know why it took me so fucking long. Anyway, I don't really have much to say about this. The author's poetry was super popular around Tumblr for a time, and the poems inspired like wedding vows and tattoos, which wasn't surprising after I actually read the entirety of the thing. While I did like most of the poems though, there were some at the beginning that I didn't feel strongly about. All in all though, it was a really beautiful collection. You can tell Clementine von Radix actually put all her heart and soul into these poems. They weren't, how do you say, a waste of pages? I'm not going to name drop anyone, but you know what I mean. Definitely worth a read if you haven't yet. Pick it up. The final book in this wrap-up, and the final book I read in January, and the final book I read for the Rent Readathon was I'll Be the One by Lila Lee, which fulfills the bisexual representation prompt from Team Maureen and the fiery character prompt from Team Mimi. In this young adult contemporary, we follow Sky Shin, who gets so much shit for being fat, when all she wants is just to perform. She's a fantastic singer and dancer, and aims to become the first plus-size K-pop star. So after she joins the survival audition show and nails her audition, obviously, she's thrown into a flurry of practices and training and drama. In such a fat-phobic industry, Sky can only hope to win the competition without losing herself in the process. This book was a breath of fresh air. I was torn between a 3.5 star rating or a 4 star rating, but like I gave it 4 because it deserves it. It honestly does deserve a higher rating. As a K-pop stan for more than a decade, I've been there when Piggy Dolls debuted in 2011. That's how you know this industry is fat phobic. They named a girl group which consists of bigger idols Piggy Dolls. I digress. I'll Be the One was a very heartwarming read. It was so inspiring and very body positive and like just self-love, you know. It was so good. It was such an adorable read. Save for Sky's very unsupportive and image-obsessed mother, all the characters were actually pretty likable. There's also a very diverse cast. There were Black and white and Latin ex-contestants, a lesbian couple that were supporting characters, and Sky herself is bisexual. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I am especially in love with Henry Cho, who is the love interest. He's supermodel gorgeous, but he's so unbelievably kind. While reading, in my mind, I already fan-casted Astros Cha Eun-woo and Kim Young-hoon from The Boys as Henry Cho. Like, maybe that's why, but those two idols really fit Henry Cho's character. Can we all get a Henry Cho, please? He's officially my new book boyfriend. Okay! Those are all the books I read in December 2020 and January 2021. Reading-wise, January went better than I expected. I only didn't get to one book for the Rent Readathon, which is honestly not too bad considering my reading history. I'm filming this video at the very beginning of February, so fingers crossed that this month will be an even better reading month. I'm joining Wonderlandathon, which goes on for the entirety of February. I'll link my TBR for that down below if you're interested. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope February has been swell so far. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye! I didn't even bother holding up the books because I'm an idiot. Yeah, but I read like 2 physical books. It's fine. It's fine. I'm a fucking idiot. I can't talk today. I can't. I really can't.